You're listening to Fight Jokes About Everything, a Night Shift Radio original. For more information, visit nightshiftradio.com. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to get things started on Fight Jokes About Everything. So today we're talking about the one and only The Muppet Show. Now, we're not talking about that live action or the like the Office style one or the other Muppet Show that launched. No, we're talking about the original The Muppet Show, the original one, created back in 1976, ran from 1976 to 1981, which coincidentally enough, this show stopped airing the year I was born, but there was a lot of other stuff around this time. Like the Muppets were like a heavy part of my growing up, even though that it seems like, you know, they had just the movies in the 80s outside of a few specials here and there, and of course Muppet Babies, which is, you know, I would say arguably one of the best parody cartoon shows I've ever seen. So The Muppet Show was a comedy television show invented by none other than Jim Henson. Of course, Jim Henson, known for his puppetry. He is behind Sesame Street. He did the puppetry behind things like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal and a lot of other things like that. But The Muppet Show was a thing all on its own. I was going to say it was an animal all on its own, but, you know, I'll spare you my animal impressions. So the great thing about the Muppet Show is that it was a sketch show and it was a variety show at the same time. Now, one of the cool facts about it is that not a single guest starred on the show or guested on the show twice. So from 1976 to 1981, roughly 5 seasons, there was not a single time when a guest was on there twice. Now, that being said, John Denver was on a few of the Muppet specials, but he was himself only a guest star on the show once. Now, most notable guest stars are people like Steve Martin and Elton John, but there was a lot of really great sketches on the Muppet Show. So obviously everyone remembers Phenomena. You know, that's a big one. But there was one like the Muppet Dance, where everyone was like dancing around and then they would pass the camera and say a pun, you know, or like make a passing fancy to another, a passing comment to another dancing couple. Like amazing things. And of course we have Fozzie had Patrol Bear. And that was like a really funny sketch where he was just like a not so great gumshoe on the track and then making his puns the entire time. Just absolute fantastic stuff. One of the great things about the Muppet Show was that every episode, the title sequence would have 2 new elements to it. So the very first, of course, was Statler and Waldorf, our favorite Muppet critics, who would yell from the balconies. So they would have some new sort of pun or thing that they would say every time. And then, of course, Gonzo the Great at the very end with his trumpet. That was always a gag that was done. And there was multiple ones of that. I just remember watching it and always waiting for those 2 moments. But just absolutely fantastic. So, you know, some of the biggest cast of performers from that is Frank Oz. Frank Oz, is an absolute legend in himself. And a lot of people remember Frank Oz as Yoda as well. But we had Jerry Nelson and Richard Hunt, Dave Goelz, Steve Whitmire, Fran Brill, Louis Gold. It was just, you know, and a lot of these people also did appearances on Sesame Street. You know, Jim Henson's, his reach in that era in terms of the puppet world was just phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. So the big news we're talking about is on February 19th, The Muppet Show will be live, will be airing on Disney Plus. So if you have yet to sign up for Disney Plus, if you're like, I don't know, WandaVision, meh, Mandalorian, meh, The Muppets is the reason to do this, especially if those of you have kids. The Muppet Show is probably one of the greatest things you could ever show your kids. It's a fantastic variety show. It's wholesome, but also witty humor, which is the part that I love the most about it. You know, where a lot of shows that played to a younger audience, they played too much to a younger audience to its detriment. Or in the fact that, you know, once you got past a certain age, it was just like, woof, I can't watch this anymore. You know, shows like, I think, you know, I'm thinking more modern-ish shows now. Shows like Dora the Explorer is just it is just absolutely torture to watch as an adult, because you're like, yo, it is right there, like right there. You've said it 3 times. It is literally right in front of you. But whereas the Muppet Show gave humor to younger kids, it has that slapstick humor. It has simple and easy puns, but also it's clever enough that as an adult, it's just great and enjoyable looking back on it. Some of the Muppet movies, obviously the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and of course my personal favorite, Muppets Take Manhattan, is some of the best movies out there. I mean, they're perfectly acceptable for kids to write, for kids to watch. Although in Muppets Take Manhattan, there's 2 jokes that I want to point out. One is we have a character who runs around in tight shorts, and he's his roller skates are stolen, and someone was like, oh, don't you want your skates back? He's like, no, it's fine, I just like running around in small shorts, which is very funny. But another one is Janice. Now Janice is a direct play of someone like a Janis Joplin, but she is one of the members of Dr. Teeth's Electric Mayhem, one of the guitarists, and we overhear a joke, and everyone's kind of talking at once, and Janice says, listen buddy, I'm not taking my clothes off for anyone, even if it is artistic. I mean, that's a pretty risque joke for a kids movie, but it was pretty great. It's funny, and it was fantastic. And again, Muppets Take Manhattan, absolutely fantastic. As of the airing of this show, Fight Jokes About Everything, to my knowledge, Muppets Take Manhattan is one of the few movies actually missing from Disney Plus. Last I knew, I could be completely wrong, but last I knew, Muppets Take Manhattan was not on Disney Plus, which is an absolute shame, because again, I know many people will argue with me and say, the original Muppet movie or The Great Muppet Caper or even Muppet Treasure Island is the best. Of course, I'm excluding Muppet Christmas Carol because that's just a standard, is the best Muppet film. And they would be wrong. I mean, they can do what they can to try to convince me otherwise, but they would absolutely be wrong because it is Muppets Take Manhattan. I mean, Joan Rivers is it? I mean, come on, it's great. It's a great, great movie. Anyway, so The Muppet Show, the original one from 1976 to 1981, will be debuting on on Disney Plus on February 19th. So definitely check it out. So, hey, what was your favorite Muppet Show sketch, if you remember one? Mine was the dancing. That was the one that stuck out in my head the most. And musical performances was, of course, Crocodile Rock with Elton John. But let me know, what was your favorite things from the original Muppet Show? I would love to hear about it. You can tweet at me at the Michael Fight, or I'm also on Instagram at Michael Fight. And for more information, you can visit nightshiftradio.com to see all of the shows on the Night Shift Radio Network. But that's all. Thanks a lot for subscribing, everyone. I super appreciate it. And of course, if you are liking this, go ahead and leave a rating and review. It's super helpful for me. It's something that Apple and a lot of the other companies, they need in order for podcasts to be discovered more. So definitely give a rating and review. I would super appreciate it. Thanks a lot for joining me, everyone, and we will see you for our recap on Friday.